Anyway, I'll try and stick with this one. But yes, where was I? Oh yes,
you're looking for like-minded people.
Looking for like-minded things.
Yeah.
So I suppose in my looking for, in my story, I went through years of Christian Science. That was one thing, which is nothing to do with Scientology. People get that mixed up. They're very, very different.
Yeah.
But in Christian Science, it really does speak a lot. It's all non-duality, but there are things that made me leave that religion, and mainly because it was seen as a religion, and that only, Christian scientists could have this point of view. But they're wonderful, and there really are, and there's some wonderful truths in that. So I was very, very taken with the non-dual aspect taught in Christian Science, and that seemed to sort of feed me, if you like, for a long time. And then I wanted something that was a bit less sort of religious in an English sort of way, and I got very much into Buddhism and things, and was studying at one time to be a Buddhist teacher and stuff like that. And that didn't feel quite right either. Again, it had rules and dogmas.
But also did it not feel right because you had this amazing experience of oneness, and then you came back. So I think you were obviously looking for something which give you some kind this picture back.
Well, I think you're right, Renata, because I think, you see, what happens is, and the mistake we kind of make really is that we hanker after these glimpses, these peak experiences, which is the one way to keep it away.
Exactly.
You get in the way of it, don't you? Because the mind is really the thing that's seeking it.
Yeah.
So, went into Buddhism, and that did it for me for a while, and I did another school of Buddhism, and then eventually I came to Eckhart Tolle's stuff, and was very happy with that and the power of now and everything, and made complete sense to me, and it felt the nearest sort of thing. And I thought, oh yes, I'm very happy trying to be in the now and everything, and I managed it like a practice on longer and longer occasions. But you see, actually, that was very dual, because that was a person that believed they were a person trying to be mindful and be in the present moment. So then that wasn't quite it, you see. And meanwhile, I was having more experiences, like I'd turn over in bed at night and there was no body turning over in bed. There was almost like a part of me was missing, like it was see-through, like it was how I'd seen it after the car accident. And lots of things like that. There was a sort of, you wouldn't think so to look at me, but I would seem to be dissolving. Anyway, so then... I mean, it's all very funny, really, and none of it's in the least bit important, and it doesn't matter at all. Anyway, so why are we talking about it? But I'll get to that. Where was I? Oh, yes. So then somebody pointed me towards some non-duality speakers and writers, and so I went to a meeting, and I just thought, yes, now this is it. This resonates with me, absolutely. And actually, before I went to one meeting, it was halfway through one book about non-duality that I woke up one morning and there was just nobody there. There wasn't a location anymore to a person, so that which is called Mandi was no longer inhabited in the body, in the bed. It was everywhere, but not in a location.
Wasn't that a freaky situation?
Yes, it was.
Well, it must have,
It was quite frightening.
The ego structure, all of a sudden, it must feel completely disoriented.
Well, it totally did. It was. I remember just trying to dress myself and put things on, and feeling, but there's nothing to put on. Who's it going on? What is it? Where am I to put this jumper on? And but there was a part that knew it had to do something that day, and it was to to get something from the market. And I remember there was this, I don't know why there was a colour. See, everyone's experience is different. We talk about everyone, of course, that's using language again, but like the facets of the diamond,
Yes.
every part of being, knowing itself, bearing witness of itself, has apparently different experiences. So this experience was, there was a sort of a greeny colour again. I don't know why there was this greeny colour, like when I went up, after the accident.
Yeah, the emerald green. Or...
A sort of a darkish green, and sometimes with tinges of black in it, and then green again. It was just, it was a sort of like, I sometimes call it the greenness, and but there was absolutely nobody there, no sense of anyone, and I did somehow manage to dress myself, even walk the dog and get out to the market. But when I was in the market, it felt like there was there was ghosts everywhere, that none of this experience was real as I had once imagined it to be real. That which I had taken to be real wasn't real. And so I was trying to have conversations with people. Well, I wasn't trying to. They would approach me if they knew me, had conversations, and it was extremely difficult because they were looking at me thinking that I was in here. Of course, I wasn't in there at all. And so after that, then there was a seeming to go back into the story again.
Yes.
But you see, that time, it wasn't the same, because that experience that I have just described to you, which is just the thought now of an experience, it totally doesn't matter. It's actually irrelevant. See, people that, have experiences all the time. We have these peak experiences and we hanker back to them. But, it's because we're looking for something special that's different from the ordinary. But when this is really seen, it's actually very ordinary, because what's seen is that it's not about life showing you little entertaining films and shows and peak experiences. It's just what's happening right now. So it's like what started to happen after that experience was that the seeking, so we're going back to this seeking, all aspects of seeking fell away. And if you like, that's what's not returned. There's no one seeking. So everything that happens doesn't happen to an identity.
Yes.
But sometimes that means that emotions can be even more raw than when there was thought to be a person there. So what I mean by that is, if just like anybody else, if you're driving along and somebody crosses you in the car and nearly causes an accident, what may happen is that fury may arrive, like, how ridiculous, and what happens is that anger is so fresh, raw and instant, and it might fill every aspect of the room. There's not a millimetre where there's no anger. And then it's just goes. It just arose like a bubble from nowhere, and then it goes again, and it doesn't leave anything behind. It's absolutely so, because there's no body for it to attach to anymore. Whereas I think, I don't like to say here and before, but I can't use any other language. So before, it would have gone on for a while. I might have felt, oh God, every time you drive, you come out and this. It might have gone on and on and on. So and compassion for somebody, compassion may arise when you see somebody hurting or suffering, or not, just whatever. But when that arises, it fills all space. It's absolutely full. There's nothing else except that feeling and that compassion. And then that's gone again, and nothing's left again. Nothing. It's like, the old thing of the mirror. A child dances in front of the mirror, and then when she goes, that's just the mirror. And then now a lion comes roaring in front of the mirror, and then that goes, and the mirror's just left the mirror. That's a good analogy of just this being. Being is so still, and nothing flutters it. Nothing changes being. It's the mind that's constantly moving and